Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. How are my peeps doing? They're just kind of slowly walking in. The emails just went out. Anyway, folks, welcome aboard. Paul Fleming Sr. from Powder Springs, Georgia. I think you are going to get a hurricane hit tomorrow, my brother. Are you prepared for that hit? I think you're close to Atlanta, and it seems to me like you guys are going to get more than just a glance or passing hit. Good luck, my dear friend. Good luck. We had a bad one that really tore us up a couple of months ago. E2247 is in the house. How you doing, E2247? Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York is in the house. That's upstate New York. We also have in the house, Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. You too, Yvette. Do you have all your hatchets closed and ready for that hurricane? That's actually, it may actually get to you as a Category 1 hurricane, Yvette. So I hope you're all preparing yourself. Michael Rudnin is in the house from New York, in Brooklyn, New York. Welcome aboard. Bruce Pollard from, of course, Kingwood, Texas, is in the house. Great to see all my peeps here. Anyway, a lot of stories today. First one that I kind of want to talk about is it seems like, first of all, the mayor of New York, Adams, right? I guess he got in trouble trying to sell. Look, I don't have any. Let me just say, let me put it this way. Let's see. Ready UPS wants us to come to work to deliver packages. Are you kidding me? Those trucks are going to be blowing all over the place, Yvette. That's a joke. Anyway, Eric, what is his? Eric Adams, New York mayor. I'm going to tell you something. I feel and I really mean this, I feel no sorrow for the mayor of New York. Because the mayor of New York, and I don't know what he was trying to do earlier on, trying to display a Trumpian attitude towards immigration, as opposed to asking for assistance in a humane way. He made some very Trumpian statements. And it told me that what he wanted to do is become a Donald Trump. And you know what? His fate is likely going to be the fate of Donald Trump, to which we should have no issues. I noticed that he comes out there with a whole lot of people talking about, oh, this isn't right. Well, when you have an email that says, go ahead and do it anyway. No, these guys are corrupt. And it seems to me from the affidavit, I haven't seen it all, but it seemed to me like he is, in fact, a corrupt mayor. And I wouldn't mind AOC running, but it's not going to be AOC who runs. That's not what she wants to do. But yeah, I would vote for AOC. Young blood, smart, intelligent, progressive. Oh, she would make a great mayor of New York. Should put a lot of people in their places, justifiably so. All right. Paul Fleming says, I wanted the female to win anyway. What are you talking about, Paul? Anyway, I guess I better go up to the top and start reading. All right, reading from the top, we got Paul Fleming says, from welfare queen to Willie Horton to Haitians eating pets. When in doubt, lie on black people. That has always been the modus operandi of the new Republican Party, starting back in the moral majority days. It's true. Should we forget the Gantz hands commercial that senator did? I think it's in North Carolina. Yeah. All right. Who else we got here? Paul Fleming says, for your information, if you want to take bribes and free trip and you don't want to get indicted, don't be an elected official. Be a Supreme Court justice. That's a good one, Paul. I wouldn't have even thought about that one. That's a good one. May I be your manager when you do your comedy show, Mr. Paul Fleming Sr.? I would love to be your comedian. Maybe you should give us a call and give us a couple more jokes. 281-823-7747. Una vez más, 281-823-7747. Anybody wants to call in and make some comments? I want people to call in every so often and say hi. All right. We also have E2247 says 24 September 24, UN Assembly address Tuesday by Colombia President Gustavo Petro. I listened to most of it yesterday. Yes, he started with his daughter's paragraph, and then he moved on from there. Very good get, and a very smart commentary. I did it because you told me to listen to it, and I figured if you told me to listen to it, it's probably something worth listening to. All right, we also have, let's see, please listen to, okay, there you go. You repeated it on YouTube. All right, Paul Flemings also says, Trump started by birtherism versus Barack Obama. Now with VP Harris, it started with McDonaldism, which is lie. She never worked at McDonald's. She did. But this is the best that Orange bin Laden has. Oh, you can always check the records, but he doesn't want you to. All right, Paul Fleming says thanks. Yep, Paul, be careful. Melanie Keelan is in the house from Barcelona, Spain. Carl Cox is in the house. Don't like the bad weather on the way. Carl Cox, you got to take care of yourself. You've got to take care of yourself, my dear brother, Carl. All right. Yvette, please, you take care of yourself first. Don't be listening to them to go into work. Thank you for the map, Michael Rudden. Michael Paul Fleming says the Texas Tribune and the Associated Press spent 24 hours in 5 cities on the Texas 1,254-mile border with Mexico to compare rhetoric and reality. The reality is much different. Let me just tell you that they love the rhetoric, and the problem is that you're in Georgia, Paul, and you went ahead and did your homework so that you could come to an intelligent conclusion. We have all the MAGA folks that just listen to what the thugs tell them, and they choose to believe it. Look, Eric Adams is supposed to be a Democrat, right? He does something wrong. We have no problems. Other Democrats saying, nope, you wanted to take bribes. You wanted free trips. You wanted to get, you wanted apartment buildings approved without it being in a provable state. Well, you've committed the crime. Go do the time. Would they ever say that about Trump? In as much as Trump did so much harm to the working class, both criminally and civilly? No, they won't. Again, that is the difference between an enslaved mindset and a free mindset. Enslaved and free. All right, let's continue. Lee Grant says, hey, all prayers for Florida and Southeast USA. Yeah, we don't need prayers. What we need is for them to hunker down. And after that, for us to invest in what's going to be necessary to bring them up back to, back to normal. All right, what else have we got here? AOC should run for mayor. I would love it. Eric Adams, I need a day to figure out what's going on. You can just read the indictment, my brother. I don't know how he doesn't get out of this one. Okay. He's not getting out of this one. I mean, what gets me with some of these guys that are crooks is how dumb they really are. Right. I mean, if you look at the text messages, etc., and how this was done, these are not the smartest cats out there. I mean, yeah, nobody can be as dumb as Donald Trump, but at least Donald Trump so owned a lot of people that that he's able to pull the rug over a whole lot of folks still. But my God, it wasn't very smart. All right, let's see what else we got here. Lee Grant says, I want the best man for the job. Well, I think sometimes the best man for the job is a woman. And we're extrapolating the meaning of man as person. Right? All right, Bree says, go after mayor. Let Clarence Thomas stay where he is. Nope, we need to get Clarence Thomas too. We need to get Clarence Thomas out. And, but we got work to do. All right, let's see. Was telling Bruce it's okay for BP to lie to get elected. Okay. All right, let's see what else we got here. Paul Fleming is a sweeping bill introduced by a Democratic senator Wednesday would greatly increase the size of the Supreme Court, make it harder for the justices to overturn laws, require justices to undergo audits, and remove roadblocks for high court nominations. As long as it passes constitutional muster, because again, we have this stuff about separation of powers and each body being independent, but of course that independence come after certain rules, like, but again, if the two bodies, meaning the executive and the legislative, wants to change the behavior of the judiciary, under certain conditions, they can. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Why was politics done right? Say it's okay to lie to get elected, then criticize others for doing the same. I never said it's okay to lie to get elected. I said it's okay to tell a truth that can be interpreted appropriately. And I know that's a political answer. But when you have a country where a large percentage of the population is a low information based population, that is what sometimes have to be done to get elected. I'm sorry. I would love to live in utopia. Unfortunately, I don't. All right, let's see what else we got here. Bring back de Blasio. That worked well. I actually like de Blasio. I don't know. I think de Blasio is a very good mayor. Paul Fleming Sr. says, tell me it's not weird that J.D. Vance wears eyeliners and Trump wears orange makeup every day. They are both weird. And by the way, I shouldn't say this out loud, but somehow the dossier, the J.D. Vance dossier appeared in my mailbox. I have the whole 200-something pages appeared in my mailbox somehow. But I'll do the right journalistic thing to do and read it and likely not do anything with it that isn't already public knowledge. Because again, I believe in ethics. But there's a whole lot of stuff in that journal, folks. I haven't had time to really take a full look at it, but there's a whole lot of stuff in it. All right, Breach has something for me to watch. Breach, what do you have for me to watch? Do you mean for me to play now? Why is it difficult to change? Oh, okay. I think we might want to play that now. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, Breach, let's see if I can do that. I had it all set up to do, so I am going to, I think I can. Let's first get it started. How do I do that? I need to get it started again. Let's do that. Let's get it onto the screen and see what all right, let's get it going.
Rachel, the neuroscientist. Nothing quite captivates human attention like fear, rage. Online misinformation. You're asking the right girl, because I'm Rachel, the neuroscientist. Nothing quite captivates human attention like fear, rage, shame, and loneliness. And algorithms, personalized algorithms, learn quickly that that's what captivates human attention. We scroll, which makes us feel bad, which makes us scroll even more, which makes us feel even worse, right? This is where the trap really catches us. The more that you're feeling things like fear and shame, the more that you and your brain, consciously and not, will be working to build a narrative around that. Just for a second, step back and think about humans in the wild. It's very rare that you would be feeling that level of fear and shame without good reason, like running away from saber-toothed tigers or whatever. So your brain says, all right, I'm feeling ashamed a lot. There must be a reason why, and it will find a way to justify the very emotions that are being used against you by pernicious algorithmic cycles. And those justifications are not trivial, right? They're like fundamental shifts in worldviews, fundamental shifts in sense of identity. Reversing those justifications and changes is very difficult. Even if you can, and you can change somebody's mind at a factual level, that initial emotional residue tends to stick around. That will be the thing that informs somebody's behavior, like which causes you advocate for, who you vote for. Like that will have much more of a bearing than all of the logical stuff. Why is it so difficult to change somebody's mind after they've been...
That, let me just, that is so true, Breach. And anybody want to call in and add to that? The number is 281-823-7747. But I want to call. I want to put that out there for myself because I want to self. What's the word that I don't know what the word is that I'm trying to find, but I came from Central America. And I think I explained this in my book as well. And let me put a plug for my book. I think I explained that in my book, Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. And here's the book, Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. You can check it out at just go to politicsdoneright.com/books to get a hard copy, or become a paid subscriber of our newsletter, and you'll get it that way. But let me explain this. And I'm going to go into this because I think it's important, and for both our MAGA and otherwise to hear it. I'm from Panama, Central America. I'm Black, Latino, Caribbean. All right. And it turns out that that's like a 3-strike thing with, when it comes to homosexuality, gay, etc. Our culture is really to get away from gays. They're an abomination. They're all these kinds of things, right? It's stupid. It's backward. It's shameful. But that's the culture that I grew up under. And I came over here and changed, right? It didn't take much it was just a trip to China, where one of my partners in a company that we formed called PWL that changed my behavior, my intellectual behavior with one sentence. But after that, if I was in touch, I was also at KPFT many times. If I hugged if a gay person, a gay guy specifically, not a gay woman, but it just shows you that the sexism and homophobia kind of tied in with our culture, right? I didn't have a problem hugging a gay woman or anything like that, but a gay man, I couldn't do it, or I couldn't look at a gay man and say, "I love you, man." You say, I can tell all my peeps I love you, etc. And after I made that intellectual change, even after making that intellectual change, I was an avid fighter, activist in the gay movement. But I still didn't necessarily want anybody to see me in isolated situations with a gay guy, or I couldn't hug a gay person or anything like that, because I would actually have a physical reaction and apprehension towards that. And I kept on working on that. I'll force hug. I would force all these things. And by the way, I did the same thing with having women as leaders and accepting women as leaders. Not accepting because women are leaders, but realizing that it's my problem that I couldn't think of those things. And I knew I overcame my prejudices, both in being a sexist and also being a homophobe, when it didn't matter if it was a gay man, gay woman, straight woman, cis, whatever. It didn't matter. I can look and say, I love you. I can hug you. I can do all of that without it messing with my masculinity, without having a second thought, without anything. At that point, I knew I was completely cured, as far as knowing that all these are beings like I am, no different, no better, no worse, no nothing. It took effort. The factual, as the woman said in the video, the factual was not enough. You actually have to work towards it. And I say that for those people who, even in this chat right now, are naturally predisposed to be prejudiced or racist or whatever, because there are some of you in here are that. It is okay to intellectually say, well, I know I shouldn't not like somebody for X, Y, Z. But you have to make that concerted effort to engage. You have to make that concerted effort to change not just your mind, but your physical reaction to that which you were prejudiced against. And only then can you overcome it all. And those are the kinds of things that we have to teach teach folks. You have a lot of progressives that they are intellectually progressive, and they're intellectually not racist, and they're intellectually not sexist, and they're intellectually not homophobic. But still, enough couldn't vote for Hillary for president. And they could find every excuse to place on top of Hillary, but yet Trump could be president with all the flaws that he comes with. And it's important. That little piece that Bree just brought for us to watch is a very important piece of information. And the extrapolation that I just gave, those of you who have your isms, prejudices, if you want to really get over them, it has to be intentional. It can't be just saying, I'm not racist. It can't be just saying, I'm not sexist. I can guarantee you just about 90% of the guys in this chat right now and listening to this video are probably sexist. I can guarantee you a large number of you in here, including progressives, are homophobes. If not intellectually, emotionally. And until we work on that, somebody can't fix that for you. It is something you have to want to fix for yourself. It is something you have to walk into and say, I will be a better person. I will be a better person. And that goes also in this election. In this election, it's hard. Many of you out here that try to find all kinds of reasons to vote for the criminal, to vote for that guy who has committed so many crimes, that guy who has violated women's, that guy who has stiffed the middle class. But you're sticking with him and you're making an excuse why you stick with him. I'll tell you something. You're only fooling yourself. I was only fooling myself until I could come out and say, I really believe in true equality. I really believe in true humanity. And until you get there, you're fooling nobody but yourself. Now it's interesting because I tell you one thing that comes with this way of being. This way of being allows you to tell people whatever the hell you want to tell them, because deep within, none of it is coming from a position of prejudice or hate or any of that. So I don't mind calling out the racists in my chat. Hey, bro, love you, but you're still a racist. Hey, bro, I love you, but you're still a sexist. Hey, I can do all of that. I can do all of that. But I tell you even better, the freedom that one gets when one can look at the individual humanity of every single person you interact with. And I see color, I see race, I see gender, I see sexual orientation. I see them. But the interesting thing about it is the freedom you get from being able to see these things and not have a gut reaction other than I'm sitting here with my gay friend, I'm sitting here with my fat friend, I'm sitting here with my skinny friend, I'm sitting here with my red-headed friend, I'm sitting here with my Afro friend. And it's just that, a descriptor. The freedom that comes with that, let me tell you something. You would not imagine what it feels like. All right, enough of my rant. All right, Paul Fleming says, Raffensperger's office tell TPM Georgia Election Board won't be able to delay certification indefinitely. The safeguard is the law which says that the boards of registration shall certify results no later than 5 p.m. on Monday following the Tuesday's election. Exactly. So they can do whatever they want in that board. That's what the law says. And it's great that it's Raffensperger, a Republican, who said it. Breach says, Egberto, Willies, they do not know they're sexist or even racist. I had a male member in my group who said, if we don't win, the fault will lie with women who didn't vote for Harris. putting all the onus on women. No, it's not going to be on women. It's going to be on people. It's just like Trump saying if he doesn't win, Jews will be the fault of that. You know, I tell you something that I didn't like. I mean, I took it, black women right now are making the statement like we are the ones who hold up the Democratic Party. All right. I took a little bit of exception when my black sisters, not my white sisters, but my black sisters were saying, we are the ones who hold up the Democratic Party. I didn't like the narrative. I wanted it to be the right narrative. By percentage, we are the most reliable voting bloc for the Democratic Party. But you don't represent a majority of the Democratic Party. You don't represent 25% of the Democratic Party. And what that does a lot of times is that creates something that I was speaking to a woman early before I came onto this program and said, when individuals or individual groups take an oversized responsibility of what they've actually accomplished, it hurts everybody. We need our coalition must, as Bridge implies there, must be dependent on absolutely everybody. White people, you need to speak to people who only listen to white people to get them to vote for Kamala. Black people, you need to vote for those slackers that are looking into Trump. And notice I call them slackers, the same ones that I call the white ones slackers who are voting for Trump, meaning not interested in learning. You got some work to do for those people who are only going to listen to those folks. You need to bring them all into the fold. That goes for blacks, Latinos, Asians, everybody. It is important. Yvette Avery Hera, thank you, kudos, my dear beautiful lady. Thank you for doing the work to improve yourself. I truly appreciate your honesty and how it wasn't easy, but it can be done. It's not easy. I lived 18 years of my life in Panama. 18 years of my life in Panama. Those were my formative years. And it's hard. It's hard for me to somehow change that. You have to work at it. Knowing it at the intellectual level is much different than knowing it from the emotional level, the physical level. Absolutely so. And by the way, Yvette, I should be thanking you all, the women, my homosexual brothers and sisters, for allowing me in. Okay? Because it's me, and I want people to understand how honest I am about this. It is me who had the problem. Okay? It is me who had the problem. To my white racists, it is you who have the problem. It is you who need to work on it. To my black, sexist, religious, it is you who have the problem. And it's for you to solve. And when each of us solve it on our own, we get the perfect society. It's that simple. We get the perfect society. All right, continuing. Let's see what else we know. Going back up. Patrick Magner says every communication can be much more complex than can be labeled a lie or truth. Binary thinking can be flawed. Exactly. And the fact that humans oversimplify things to categorize things. Exactly. In other words, look at me. I'm a black dude. But if you look at my DNA, you'll see all kinds of things in there. Right? I'm not going to go out and say, oh, I'm this percentage that and this percentage that or the other. But all I can say is I'm from around the world, baby. Anyhow, so right, Patrick, you nailed that. Let's see. I saw something about India. Where was that? Oh, E2247, Central America is another white settler colonial myth designed to embolden and enable people who hate brown, black, indigenous nations in North America. It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. But again, we don't have to live through that. Roughly 45,000 dock workers at every major East and Gulf Coast port are girding to strike starting early next week, threatening to close trade gateways that handle about half all the goods shipped in containers. And you know what? We have to back them. I know it may be a drag on the economy temporarily, but they are going to make the play that because of this election, somehow Biden is going to try to force these guys to sign a deal that is not necessarily in their best interest. Nope. Let's stand by them. Let Kamala go walk those lines with them at the ports, etc. So yeah, let's go for it, baby. Let's go for it. All right, folks, I got some videos for you. The first one is our great state of Texas. Remember, we are killing our Texans by not having passed the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. It has caused the deaths of thousands of Texans. So that is equivalent to saying our Texas legislature has all but committed unliving of many of our brothers and sisters. I call it murder. Now, we know for a fact now that the laws passed in Texas, the anti-abortion law, the anti-woman laws have started to kill women. Let's listen to this and then we'll take it on the other side. Elections have consequences. Policy decisions have consequences. And Texas was one of the first states that really came up with a completely arcane, draconian type of care for our women. And you know what? The results are in. I want you to listen to this and then we'll take it on the other side.
The constitutional right that we had enjoyed in this country for 50 years, often inextricably linked not just to our maternal outcomes, but to our chances of surviving a car crash or appendicitis, was taken away by him, the guy speaking behind bulletproof glass, Donald Trump. The thing he brags about. And the devastating consequences that thing he brags about has had for women and families in America. Over the last week, we learned the names of two women, Amber Thurman and Candy Miller, whose deaths were caused in part by Donald Trump-era abortion bans. Now, new reporting in NBC News shows worrying signs that there could be a maternal mortality crisis in America because of Trump's overturning Roe and the abortion bans that have ensued. NBC News reports this on the warning signs coming from the state of Texas, which had the earliest, most extreme ban in the country. Quote, the number of women in Texas who died while pregnant during labor or soon after childbirth skyrocketed following that state's 2021 ban on abortion care. From 2019 to 2022, the rate of maternal mortality cases in Texas rose by 56%. Compared with just 11% nationwide during the same time period. That's according to an analysis by the Gender Equity Policy Institute. Quote, there's only one explanation for this staggering difference in maternal mortality, said Nancy Cohen, president of the GEP Texas. I fear it is a harbinger of what is to come in other states. Joining us is the president and CEO of the Planned Parenthood Action Fund, Alexis Miguel Johnson's here. Maya's with us as well. Alexis, take me inside what the data is showing everyone. I think folks like yourself knew this all along.
Yeah, I mean, look, Nicole, when you look at that data, 56% increase in pregnancy-related deaths since 2021. Remember what is going on during that year. Legislators are more concerned around allowing for bounty hunting to happen in pursuit of patients pursuing abortion, criminalizing providers for trying to provide care or give information to patients who are going out of state in Texas. And yet we see, the deaths, the preventable deaths that you mentioned just now, Amber Thurman and Candy Miller, they were just the tip of the iceberg. This is what we have known all along, that in states like Texas, where the maternal mortality crisis was already incredibly high in this country, is only going to get worse. Doctors are not matching into banned states as they were previously. We've seen a 10% decline of OBGYN residents matching into those states since these bans have come, 20% declines in states like Alabama. And we know many more OBGYN potential residents are considering whether or not they want to go into the profession. And that has led to a maternal care deserts, right, that we have seen across this country as well. So the news is only going to get worse because we are scaring providers away. We are scaring patients and creating a lot of chaos and confusion. It's really hard to navigate a healthcare system under those circumstances.
So as you see, yes, it is fact that more women are dying in Texas because of the new laws in Texas. In other words, your Republican Texas MAGA legislature has affected the deaths of many Texans, but it's even worse because it also involves the future. Many doctors, good doctors that would otherwise practice in the state of Texas says, bye-bye. These OBGYNs, they don't want to have anything to do with Texas. And also, we're going to start seeing that scarcity of good medical doctors, because why risk it in these red states? Why risk it when you have a draconian, backwards way of thinking in the legislature? Doesn't make any sense. While there are many other places to practice, and that those other people who need help, those who can make it, will come to you in a state with a sensible legislature. Anyway, folks, this is serious. Elections matter. And we should make sure and look at the entire picture when we decide who we're going to vote for. I know who I am voting for. Absolutely, I know who I'm voting for. Anyway, I want to bring up something that Brother Paul Fleming put on the screen, because this is indicative of what's going on. Here, he put a story up called South Carolina Gets Green Light to Request Access to $551 million for broadband expansion. I will read the first two paragraphs. South Carolina, among three other states, had its initial proposal for broadband equity access and deployment program approved by the Department of Commerce, National Telecommunications and Information Administration. The approval for the proposal allows South Carolina, Georgia, Iowa, and Minnesota to request access to funding and begin implementing the Broadband Equity Program, a known priority of the Biden-Harris administration Internet for All initiative. South Carolina can request over $551 million. And where did these funds come from? The Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program is a $42 billion program authorized by President Joe Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law. It grants portion of these funds to each state to upgrade internet networks to ensure everyone has access to the internet. So here we go again. These backward states like, Alabama. And when I say backwards, I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about the government. Alabama and all these people that don't take care of their state, their people in their states. Here comes the infrastructure bill that says, we know that the internet is instrumental in providing knowledge, whether you be in urban areas, suburban areas, exurban areas, or rural areas. We want to ensure everybody has access to this thing called the internet, which should actually be considered a natural resource, right? It should be considered. There's a word for things that should be there for everybody. Okay, it should be in the commons, and the government says, okay, since it's not in the commons where we provide everything, we're going to give you the money for you to do it your way, but make sure that everybody in your state has internet access. And of course, because the red state rarely invest in their own people, they are the ones that are getting most of the money from the infrastructure bill. They're the ones that are getting most of the money from the CHIPS bill. They're the ones that are getting most of the money from all these bills. So here we go. Those of us that are big taxpayers, those of us, the blue states, etc., coming to the rescue of the red states, because the red states government are horrendous in taking care of their own people. But of course, we come to their aid because we care about humanity. We care about people. So what do? We've invested to bring them up to par. So while not one Republican voted for the bill, the infrastructure bill, or actually, I think we had a few for the infrastructure bill, but not one Republican voted for these other bills. Note that you should ask them when you get the internet in your home, when you get your internet in your home that is subsidized by all of us, ask, who can I thank for making my life better? Trump liked to ask people, were you better back then or now or the future? Kamala Harris is talking about the future. Kamala Harris is talking about the opportunity economy. And the opportunity economy occurs with investments. Opportunity economy occurs with investments in people. It's a limerick time. It's the limerick time with the one and only Tom Zarnick. So Tom, let me cut it out here so that I can so that it doesn't scroll off the screen. Let me go ahead and put it into a new place that I can read it, because if it's a limerick from Brother Tom, I've got to read it. Let's get busy. Trump and Vance are in a GOP bromance. Around the truth, they often tap dance. In MAGA's bubble of delusion, they create trouble and confusion with Pinocchio noses and fire in their pants. I love that. Number 2, Kamala never worked for McDonald's. Trump cries. She doesn't know how to make a Big Mac with fries. Only the Donald is an expert in Mickey D's menu, cause no one's better at serving the GOP's retinue. A supersized order of French fried lies. Ooh. Now you know why, brother. 2 great limericks. Now you know why Brother Tom Zarnick is Politics Done Right's Poet Laureate. Thank you, brother. That was a good one. Won't you say that was a good one, guys? Love it. Love it. All right. Let's continue. We have Paul Fleming says, Dear news media, you really don't have to put a human in front of camera on a beach, getting pushed over by wind in order to convince me there's a hurricane. But you will. If it bleeds, it leads. We try to amuse. It's not news, but it's okay. All right. Subsidize is a new buzz waste word. No, subsidize is a word that means something very important. You are living right now, Mr. Eric Hayes, on subsidies. But the subsidies that's sustaining you, you won't want to call them subsidies, but you are living on a ton of subsidies. In fact, I am subsidizing you. And a lot of poor people are subsidizing you, Mr. Eric Hayes. So be careful when you speak about subsidies being the buzzword for waste. Because I tell you what, many of the people receiving the most from government are the ones who sit back and think, oh, really? So yes, Mr. Hayes, you are on subsidies. Don't let me explain, okay? I won't go there, but you are on subsidies. All right, let's continue. Let's see. Brother Michael Rudden says, ABC News, Newsmax reaches a settlement with Smartmatic regarding 2020 election. The amount of the settlement was not immediately disclosed. But if you watch Newsmax, you see every time somebody comes on and lies about voting machines, they throw them off the air. It's amazing what a lawsuit can do to force you to tell the truth, right? E22477 7 counts in 4 hours, 5 charges in what those a-holes, 45 and Vance should get today. Yep. All right, let's see what else we got here. Eric says, it is buzzwords, just like the school loan. For your information, I am no subsidies, bud. No, sir. You are on subsidies. Don't forget, I know you. You are on subsidies. I won't go ahead and itemize all the subsidies that you're on, but you are on subsidies, government and otherwise. Unfortunately, you may not want to accept it, but you are on subsidies like just about everybody else. And you are a taker in many instances, whether you want to accept it or not. Thank you. All right, we got one more video to play, my dear brothers and sisters. Here it goes. Very important one as well. Mark Cuban, one of the many corporate executives and business people have come out to endorse Kamala Harris. Again, she is one of the ones, he said, who's coming out with policies that they can actually calculate and see in action. Of course, we know that the economists have already said that under her policies, the economy would likely grow. Under Trump's policy, we'll probably quickly get into a recession. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Mark Cuban has gone further today, not just trolling, attacking, fighting with Elon Musk about Kamala Harris policies versus Trump. He actually went as far as to officially endorse the Harris-Walz ticket today. Watch this.
I just want to go through just a few quick statements on why I'm supporting Vice President Harris and why I think she's better for business. In a nutshell, the Vice President, her team thinks through her policies. She doesn't just off the top of her head say what she thinks the crowd wants to hear, like the Republican nominee. He says things off the top of his head that tend to often be ridiculous, if not insane.
Ridiculous, if not insane. But is that strategy working?
Well, we don't know, right? I mean, we have polls that
pollings continue to say that he does better on the economy, despite
right. No, I know that's
16 Nobel laureate economists, right. Despite 80 CEOs, despite Donald Trump's policies that he's actually pitching. He got scores of people going, it's pretty good on the economy.
It's vibes. I mean, I don't know, but it's completely crazy. I agree. And he's, every economic policy he's chopped has been like childcare. Remember last week on
childcare is childcare.
Yeah, the man is not, coming up with anything new, and he's usually sort of recycling old stuff. But for whatever reason, I guess there's some kind of memory of Republicans being good on the economy at one point. But yeah, no, I'm glad that Mark Cuban did that. And it's nice to see that there are some billionaires who don't just care about the 2025 tax cuts, the Trump tax cuts that are going to expire, and they want them to stay.
But that's what's interesting, because Trump kind of has this two-tiered base of super, super wealthy people who don't want a wealth tax, who want to protect their situation, but also his core base, that blue-collar worker. And why they're so interesting is that was his original base, that forgotten American, right? But he didn't remember them. Joe Biden and Joe Biden's policies did deliver for that voter.
Let me be clear. Over the last 100 years, the particular party that has raised the economy has been the Democratic Party. The Republican Party shows a substantially lower GDP and performance than the Democratic Party, and likewise with what they provide with people. Now, but Johnny Paz said earlier, maybe there's a time when they thought the Republican did well. There was never that time in their lifetime. What what our host had to say was actually the reality. She said that the people, when Trump got into office, he forgot about his base. When Biden got into office, he remembered all Americans, including Trump's base. we spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join. Absolutely join, folks. Absolutely join. Anyway, folks, look, I don't have any more videos. We're close to the end of the program. Give me a call, 281-823-7747. Again, that number is 281-823-7747. Give me a call and tell me whatever you want to call. We could even have a fast round table where you go, bam, 15 seconds, tell me what you want. Then the other person call. I'd love to start using the phone system that Bruce forced me to get several years ago now, right? Bruce, I actually went ahead and got it all connected and hooked into our system so that we could do all these online calls, etc. Give us a call, 281-823-7747. Una vez más, 281-823-7747. Let's see if anybody calls. Anyway, folks, been great having you guys here. Please do remember that this program needs your support. And how can you support this program? You can support this program by going to politicsdoneright.com/support. politicsdoneright.com/support. You have many different ways in supporting the program, and we all indicate them in there. But additionally, I'd like to ask an important favor. We have a newsletter, Egberto Off the Record. Anybody who subscribed to Egberto Off the Record found at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's my Substack. Anybody who subscribed to that Substack, guess what they get? They get full access to all of my books. You get full access to all of my books for anybody who subscribe to my Egberto Off the Record newsletter. So what I'm asking all of you who have the wherewithal to do so is to please become subscribers of my newsletter. Here's a corresponding page on Substack for the newsletter. And guess what? Anybody who subscribe to the newsletter and get a paid subscription to the newsletter can go to read all of my books online right there in the application. As I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. It's worth it. How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors. And of course, Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. Here's the other one. I mean, if you want the hard copies, you can always go to politicsdoneright.com/books and get the hard copies at politicsdoneright.com/books. But if you become a paid subscriber of our newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, you can read all of them online. And what does it look like when you read it online? In this case, let me just show you what it looks like. You go here and you can see, come on, you get all the chapters of the book. You click on the one that you want, and you can go chapter for chapter for chapter for chapter in the book. And the same applies to the other books as well. Here we got Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. You can go ahead and see that as well. So all you got to do is go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, subscribe, and you have all that access. And by the way, the other promise that I make you is all subsequent books that I write will also be for my subscribers, free to read on Substack. Okay, we're coming up to the end of the show. I want to thank you all so kindly for spending this time with me. Could not do it without you all at all. So I'll wait for 30 seconds to see if anybody wants to call in. 281-823-7747. Remember, our job here is to distill the news, to provide truthful news, populate the internet with articles, blogs, books, shows, videos, everything to ensure that our progressive message also has stances on the internet. Because you know who does that very well? The right wing. They have people paid tons of money to mislead you. We ask you to subscribe to a newsletter We ask you to become a small donor. We ask you to become a small supporter, to tell you the truth, to distill the truth, to let it be known what the progressives stand for. But anyway, got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.